Hello everyone, and welcome back to your haunted neighborhood, where the silence isn't empty, it's listening, and the past never stays dead. I'm your host, Jody Bohr. Each week, I share true stories of haunted places, cursed objects, and chilling encounters sent in by haunted neighbors like you. So come closer. You're already one of us. Tonight, one of our haunted neighbors has a story that just couldn't stay buried, that has found its way to us and is dying to be told. So let's open the door, shall we? Step inside your haunted neighborhood. When a grandfather recalls a night from his youth, it's not just a tale, it's a warning. One wrong turn and a long walk to a farmhouse for shelter can uncover a family secret that will gnaw at the corners of your memory forever. This story is called, "This is a Story My Grandpa Swore Was True." When my grandpa was a young man, he worked for the railroad. He made good money, and being that he wasn't married yet, he had a nice car for that time. And on the weekends, he liked to go out with his friends. He was headed out on a Friday and was running late to a dance that night, so he was speeding and took a shortcut on a pretty curvy road. The sun was setting, and he was headed west over the top of a hill, so he became blinded by the sun and began braking, and suddenly broke up over a hill. But in the last second, he could just make out that someone was standing in the road. He swerved to miss the person and went off the road down into a ravine and slammed into a tree. He must have passed out, because the next thing he remembered was hearing the voice of a young man saying, Mister, are you all right?" Grandpa said his head was splitting and his knee felt like it was on fire, but he was alive. The kid helped him out of the car and gathered up Grandpa's duffel bag and helped him up the bank and sat him on the ground near the road. He could see an old house nearby, and Grandpa asked the kid if that was his house. The kid answered, "Yeah," and it was then that Grandpa noticed the boy spoke with a strong lisp. He was a pudgy boy, pale and red-headed. He looked friendly enough, and when Grandpa asked him if he had a phone at his house, the boy shook his head and said, "No phone." Grandpa asked him if his folks were home, and he said nope, and said he didn't know when they'd be back. Grandpa then asked how far the nearest neighbor was, and the boy said it was the last place he passed, with a long white fence in front. Grandpa thought back and figured it had to have been 6 miles or so. The boy said, "You can come to my house." So the boy helped Grandpa limp up the long driveway up to the run-down old house. The house was cold, even though it was a warm June evening, and Grandpa could see there was no central heating or even a wood stove, but there was a large fireplace and a hearth in the kitchen. Grandpa asked if the house was always so cold, and the boy said, "I'm always cold." Grandpa asked, "If you go get some wood, I'll start a fire." The boy came back with a big armload of wood, so Grandpa started a fire. And the wood was pretty dry, so in no time there was a big fire going. And the boy stood so close to it, rubbing his arms, soaking up the heat, that Grandpa said to him, "You better be careful, buddy. You're going to get burned." The boy only repeated, "I'm always cold." Grandpa asked the boy if he was hungry, because he had some sandwiches in his bag. But the boy said he'd already had his supper. Grandpa ate his sandwich while the boy still stood in front of the fire, too close for Grandpa's comfort, but he didn't say anything more. He looked around the house, and it seemed like there hadn't been anyone there for a long time. It started getting dark, and the boy turned from the fire and said, "You can sleep in my bed. I'll keep the fire going." And Grandpa says, "I don't want to put you out of your bed. And are you sure none of your neighbors won't be passing by? Maybe he could get some help with his car." The boy said, Nobody ever comes up this far. They're scared of the ghosts." Grandpa said that shook him up a bit, and said, "What ghosts?" The boy replied, "Everyone says there's ghosts here, but I've never seen them. The only thing I'm scared of is nightmares." Grandpa said, "You have nightmares?" The boy said, "Yep. Every night, same dream. A giant hog chases me and tries to eat me, but I wake up." Grandpa asked him, "Did you ever get chased by a pig in real life?" And the boy said, "Yeah. He had picked up a sow's baby by its leg and shook it so it was squealing, and the pig chased him and knocked him down, and he got bit up by the sow pretty bad." Grandpa said, "Well, that's probably why you have the nightmares." The boy just nodded his head. Grandpa said he was getting pretty tired and was hurting pretty badly, and said thank you for letting him sleep on his bed, which was over in the corner of the room, near the fireplace. The boy said he'd keep the fire going and watch over while Grandpa slept. Grandpa said he woke up with a startle from the dream he had. He had the same dream the boy told him about. A huge sow chasing him, and he woke up just as the sow was about to attack him. The boy was still sitting there in front of the fireplace. There were only coals left, and the sun was coming up. Grandpa limped outside to take a peek off the porch, and he said he could hear a tractor in the distance. He limped over the field and waved his arms until the farmer saw him. He sat and waited because the farmer was a good distance away. He asked the farmer if he could pull his car out of the ravine, and the farmer said yes, and asked if Grandpa was all right. He told him yes, and Grandpa rode on the wheel well of the tractor till they got to the place where he went off the road. The farmer asked him, kind of in astonishment, "When did you run off the road?" Grandpa said, "Last night, just before sunset." The farmer replied, "Where did you spend the night?" Grandpa told him the story about the boy in the road and how he slept there last night. The farmer's face went white, and he said, "You slept there?" And Grandpa said, "Yes, why?" The farmer said, "I'd heard that place was haunted, but I never believed it." Grandpa said, "Well, the boy said everyone said they thought ghosts lived in that house." The farmer looked right at Grandpa and said, "I guess they do." That boy was killed by the family sow over a year ago. The farmer said the family all moved down south right after the funeral. They were so overcome with grief, they couldn't stand living there in that house another day. It's been empty ever since. Your haunted neighborhood, where every mailbox has a secret, every attic a scream, and every street lamp flickers and lights the way to another spine tingler from one of your haunted neighbors. Even though his family moved away, that boy never left the farm. Not really. Let's talk about what slithered out of the shadows and into my thoughts after that story ended. In this story, it's so interesting because the grandpa's telling the story and they're just retelling it as what the grandpa was telling them. And I think that's so nice that I guess they asked them about it, or maybe just the grandpa was telling them about the story when the grandpa was young, and the grandpa was telling them about how they had this haunted ghost experience. And it's very creepy how in the end the person is like, there is a ghost there after all. I thought that was something very chilling, very scary, because it confirmed that, oh wow, that was a ghost, and kind of gave me chills because you wouldn't think about it. Oh, it was just some random kid on a farm, just being friendly and nice. It's so interesting that we have small little experiences like that, and maybe we don't even know, because some people don't share those stories like, oh yeah, there's a ghost down there, or things are known to have ghosts. So maybe sometimes we even interact with people and we don't even know that, oh yeah, that was a ghost, because it's just a known haunted area or something. And I just think that's kind of scary if you think about it. Maybe you've interacted with a ghost and you didn't even know about it. But I liked that story, kind of passed down from generation, that the grandpa told them about. And the scary thing about it too was, who knows how long that ghost has been there, because when the grandpa talks about that the house looks like it hasn't been taken care of in a long time. It could be from decades ago. Who knows how old that ghost is, but it's just kind of sad though how the ghost passed away. But it's nice because the ghost still was friendly and helped him out, and it's just very creepy to think about little things you don't notice, that maybe you interacted with someone and you never knew that it could have been a ghost. Thanks so much, you guys, for listening, and thanks for wandering these haunted streets with me. I hope you'll come back for the next story. Until next time, see you around the neighborhood.